Okay, so I forgot to record, so I'll just summarize what we have so far. So the Abudirham just gave two interpretations of what the phrase hamafil chavle sheina al einai is. One is that blessed Hashem who causes the portions of sleep to fall upon me, which we didn't know exactly what that meant yet, or the one who causes the spasms or the convulsions of sleep to fall upon me. And that convulsions of sleep would be a reference to when you don't sleep for a long time, then you your body is seized by uncontrollable convulsions that make you nod off.
Right. It's weird that we're referencing that every night.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because you mean the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Because
it's
not what we're doing.
It's not what we're doing, right? We're referring to a reality that we're not experiencing. Yeah. Whereas the first one, at least, even though we know what chelke sheina means, it sounds like something that could apply to what we're about to do, which is going to sleep. Okay, good. Yeah, all right. And then we mentioned yesterday, I have not seen this in the Mefarshim, that, how did you guys translate chavle yesterday when I first asked you,
I said rope.
Ropes, yeah. Ropes are bonds of sleep, right? So that also is something that we can keep in mind, because chevel does mean rope, but he doesn't mention that. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay, then he goes on. We make a bracha on sleep because it's one of the human needs. Like it says in Bereshis Rabbah, this is ready for a wacky midrash. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, v'hinei tov ma'od. Right, so at the end of Bereshis, one says, God saw everything he created in some mode. Zoshena, this is sleep. Okay, I know a lot of people will hold that. So then, I think this is still quoting the Midrash. I don't think this is him. V'chi yeshena tova ma'od. Is sleep really that good? Lo, it's not. Or sorry, unless this is part of a rhetorical question. Lochin taninan, I think lochin taninan yain v'shena l'rashayim hana alahem v'hana la'olam. Didn't we learn that wine and sleep are beautiful for the Rashayim because and beautiful for the world, or good for the world? Because, so in other words, what's his point in bringing this up, that wine and sleep are good for the Rashayim and good for the world? What's the Midrash's question on a statement that Shena is good?
That means it's bad.
So that means it's bad, right? In other words, if you are evil, then sleep is good because you're basically being put out of commission. But for us, sleep is not bad. Right? Or sorry, it's not good. It's not good. Yeah. So then he answers, Ella mitoch adam yashin kima omid v'yagia b'Torah. So rather, once a person sleeps a little bit, then he'll get up and involve himself in Torah. It's a weird answer, right? So he's saying sleep is good because of what? Rejuvenation, right? Exactly. Yeah. So sleep is good for the Rishayim because it prevents them from doing evil. It's good for us because it allows us to be rejuvenated for Torah. Okay. And why is the Abudirham bringing all this in? What's his purpose? What did he say? Explain why there's a bracha on sleep, right? He says that sleep is a human need, and he's now clarifying it's a need in terms of rejuvenation for Torah, right? Okay, good. Yeah.
So wait, that was his point though, that's the reason there's a bracha on it, right?
Yes, yeah, that was his point. And then the midrash is just the Shena is Tov Ma'od. Right. And I actually did not look up the midrash to see whether the Rishayim point is midrash talking or him talking. I'm beginning to think maybe it's him talking now. Okay. So then he says, where am I now? Oh yeah, the Hameir li'ishon bas ayin, one who illuminates the pupil of the eye. Which we said yesterday is because Ishon means darkness and Bas Ayin is the daughter of the eye. So it's the little thing that is in the eye that is dark. So where does that come from? Al Shem Yitzarenhu ki Ishon Eno. He will guard it like the pupil of his eye. Anyone know the context of that? So that's in Ha'azinu. So that's Hashem. It's talking about Hashem. He will guard. We'll look it up in context later on, but he'll guard. I think the Jewish people like the.
We see that posting davening.
We do?
I think so. Or maybe a different pasuk with Yishon Bas Ayin.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I'm thinking of Amata.
Maybe, yeah. Let me know if you think of it though. V'ratz lomar, so what does this mean? Shekashe ha'adam chafetz ma'od lishon machshich ishon bas eno. When a person wants to sleep a lot, or meaning when he really wants to sleep, then the pupil of his eye darkens. Okay? And then ukishayishan harbe umekitz meir ishon baseno. And when he sleeps a lot and wakes up, the pupil of his eye shines. So what do you make of that? Those two, that pairing there. Because I don't know about you. I mean, that literally speaking does not seem to happen. Like, I don't think the pupil of my eye gets darker when I need to. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you do say.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Yeah. So he says that. Let me just turn you louder. Hold on, so I can hear you better. He says that when a person wants to sleep really badly, the pupil of his eye darkens. Literally, that's what he's saying. It darkens, and then when he sleeps a lot and wakes up, then the pupil of his eye illuminates or is lightened, or it literally gives off light. And so my question is like, what is he talking about? Like, that's not how pupils work. So just what's pshat in what he's saying? We're not trying to figure out ideas yet.
Yeah. I mean, he could be referring to like the activation of your eyes. Like, you know, when you're tired, you're I don't want to say your vision blurs, but you're less perceptible to things.
Yeah.
This is when you're freshly awake, like, you know, your eyes are picking everything up.
Okay. So I understand that for the going to sleep part. Actually, let me back up. I'll tell you, we actually thought that was what he meant at first, because you know how they thought eyes worked back then?
Like shines out light.
Yeah, that the eyes actually like would be a source of light that would illuminate things. I don't exactly know how that worked. So that's what we thought the lashon was, that he illuminates the eyes, and therefore we thought it was talking about perception. So I don't think it's impossible to say that. It certainly fits into the first thing about when you really need to sleep, then your vision gets blurry. And when you sleep a lot, so this is the part that I'm not sure about. When you sleep a lot, then your eyes shine. So that's the thing I'm not so sure about, because I feel like he's emphasizing extremes. And when you just wake up normally, not when you sleep a lot, but like when you wake up normally, your eye function is back to normal. Like in other words, it sounds like he's saying that there's a heightened aura from the eyes.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the guy's extremely tired.
Yes, right.
So I think that when you're extremely tired, everything is relatively.
Oh, so relatively speaking,
it's going to be much more,
pronounced. The contrast. Okay, that's definitely possible. Yeah. So what my Chavrusa and I thought it was. Do you guys any know David Rindy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So So when I say Chavrusa in Tefilah, we're talking about David Rindy. Okay. I'm not going to say Rindy. So what we thought it was talking about is the appearance of a person. When you see when you say to a person you look tired, it's not just in their bodily stance, it's also like in their eyes, versus when you got a really good sleep, there's a certain figurative brightness, to your eyes. So that's what we thought. And as we go through, let's test the two theories and see which one.
That occurred to me also.
Yeah. And again, I think yours is more in line with the way that they talked about eyes back then, but we'll have to see. Okay, so then he says, now I think this is where we have to start scrutinizing the differences. So whose version is that like? Is that like Gemara, Ashkenaz, or Rambam? Shetashkiveni l'shalom? Or is that all of them?
At least like the Ashkенaz.
Yep, and the Gemara, but not the Rambam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. What does Shetashkiveni l'shalom remind you of in Tefilah?
Hashkivenu? Yeah,
Hashkivenu, right? So I saw a thing, this is a side point. I asked yesterday how many people say hamapil. Of the guys who are on Zoom, do you guys say hamapil or not?
I say hamapil.
You do?
Yeah, but I only started like last year or something.
Okay, yeah. Isaac Azos?
No, I don't say it.
Okay, now do you not say it Bashita?
Yeah.
What was that?
Say it?
Do you not say it like because that's the Shita that you follow, or you just don't say it?
No, I don't say it. I just don't say it.
Okay, yeah. So yesterday we did mention Ellie Goldenberg. Are you
Yeah, I don't say it either.
Bashita, or just because you don't say it?
I don't say it.
Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So this is the thing. So I mentioned yesterday there are halachic reasons why some people say not to say it. But then I saw in the book Nefesh Harav, which goes through Rav Soloveitchik's minhagim, he says he seems to treat it as though there's like a widespread minhag of people not to say it. Which apparently that's why I took the survey. I'm not trying to like halacha shame you guys, but he says that there's this widespread minhag, and he gives an interesting justification of the minhag. I don't quite understand it, but he says since Hashkivenu covers many of the same themes, that somehow that replaced hamapil. Now, I don't know from a halachic standpoint, like how that evolution took place or how legit it was, but that was his theory that you're kind of like, you're covering your hamapil when you say hashkivenu. And you do notice there's like certain overlapping themes.
Yeah, and Hashkivinu was a later addition.
Right.
Was it?
Yeah. And hashkivenu seems very fluid in terms of the different versions of it and what's added and like,
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, Hashkivinu is not anymore.
I have not looked into the sugi yet, so I don't know. Did you?
I don't know exactly when it came in. I just know that it shouldn't be there because it's basically a hefsek.
Right, between Gula and Tefilah. Yeah, right.
Well, we say Kaddish there anyway.
Right. Yeah. There's stuff swirling around, halakhic controversy swirling around that one. Yeah. So that's the Hashkivenu l'shalom. If it reminds you of Hashkivenu, like it is the same phrase. Okay, so then he says that's al shem b'shalom yachdav eshkavav ishan. In peace together I will lie down and sleep. Okay, so that's referencing. I don't remember what the context is there, but this is like literally sleep. Okay, v'tamidini l'chaim u'l'shalom. Okay, now which version has tamidini l'chaim u'l'shalom?
Not Ashkenaz.
Not Ashkenaz.
Yeah,
Rambam, right, and also not Gemara, right. So Rambam has v'tamidini. I think Rambam has tamidini mimena, right? Mimena, and what's the mimena referring to?
Sleep.
Look again.
From the bed.
From the bed, right? Yeah. I mean, the implication is the sleep in the bed, but yeah. So let me get up from the bed into life and to peace. So then Abudirham says, "B'shtei lashonos elu kolel shmiras hanashama v'haguf." In these two expressions, it encompasses protection of the soul and the body. V'amar l'chaim I just lost my place. Amar l'chaim al hanashama. Chaim is said about the neshama, shekesha adam holech lishon harihu kames. Because when a person goes to sleep, it's like he's dead. Umafkid nishmaso b'yad HaKadosh Baruch Hu umachzira lo baboker. And God returns his soul to him in the morning, umafkid nishmaso b'yad HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He entrusts his soul to God, and umachzira lo baboker, and he returns it to him in the morning. And it's as if he resurrected him. V'amar l'shalom al haguf. And it says for peace regarding the body. Shabalayla yimtzu nizakim upigayim ra'im yoser mi bayom. Because at night, then harms and I think pigayim ra'im, harmful encounters, will encounter you, or you'll be subject to those things yoser mi bayom, more so than in the day. And you're praying that you should rise up with your body intact. Okay, so upshot here, l'chaim l'shalom is l'chaim for your neshama, in the sense that you wake up and are no longer like someone who's dead. So, and then l'shalom is for bodily protection from harm. And neshama here, from context, what do you think neshama means? Well, soul means a bunch of different things, right, in Judaism?
Your nefesh, like your life force.
Yeah, so this sound, well,
Not
fully, right, because you don't actually die when you go to sleep, right?
So like it makes sense that it would be like your kind of more prefrontal cortex.
Right.
Thinking,
Yeah.
That type of thing, like more rational thinking.
So what I would say, I don't think it's just rational thinking, because you're really not thinking. I guess
part you're not, like, it leads you.
Right. I would say consciousness.
Okay.
Right. You're unconscious when you're asleep, and then you get your consciousness back in the morning. Whatever you want to say that consciousness is exactly, but yeah. So not your. My point though is that it's not your life force, because you don't actually die. It's not your tzelem elokim. You do get that back, but like that's not the only thing that's shut down when you're asleep. Like you're also just you're not in control of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. V'al yivahaluni chalamos ra'im lo hihurim ra'im. Do not let bad dreams and bad fantasies or musings confound me. Kolomar shlo avali de hirhur avera afilu b'chalam. Namely, that I shouldn't go into fantasies of avera even in a dream. That's interesting, right? So I think this is a machlokas between Plato and the Abudirham, because he's saying that it's bad if you dream dreams of avera.
Okay.
Anyone know the Plato thing? I'm just realizing this now. I didn't prepare this, but
No.
let me see if I can find it on my
Freud doesn't get an
he does. He probably does. Yeah. Hold on just 1 second here. I'm just consulting my dream analysis PowerPoint where I quote it. So Plato in the Republic, hold on. I don't know if I'm sharing this. Let me just share it again. Plato says, oh, I see that some guys type something in the chat. Oh, okay. It's fixed. All right. I was going to say, I don't really hear the chat or see the chat. Okay, so, oh, ugly font. Okay, anyway, so Plato says in book 9 of the Republic, he says, these are desires which are aroused in sleep when the rest of the soul, the rational, gentle, and ruling element in it slumbers, and the animalistic savage part, filled with food or drink, suddenly comes alive, casts off sleep, and tries to go out and satisfy its own nature. In this state, as you know, since it is released and set free from all shame or rational judgment, it can bring itself to do absolutely anything. That is very Freudian in the sense that its dreams are wish fulfillments. And then he says, in its imaginings, it has no hesitation in attempting sexual intercourse with a mother, nor with anyone or anything else, man or God or animal. There's no murder it will not commit, no meat it will not eat. In short, it will go to any length of folly and shamelessness. That's actually not the quote I was thinking of. There's a quote. There's a quote that says, I thought this was Plato, I'll have to look it up later on, that the righteous man dreams what the wicked man does, which is in line with this. How would you interpret that statement just at face value? I don't know what the context is.
But I guess like if you like outlet your desires in your dreams,
Yeah.
you will do it in real life.
Exactly, right. That we all have animalistic desires, and so if you are not acting on it, so it's going to seek an outlet. And when you dream, then like if you dream of those things, so then that's like a healthy outlet, so to speak, where the animalistic part of you is living out its fantasies, but not in a way that actually causes you harm or causes other people harm. So I don't know if it's proper to say that that's machlokas with what he's saying, but he is saying that hiru avera in a dream is bad. I understand how hiru avera in a fantasy is bad, like during waking life. It's not like, I was gonna say it's not the worst thing, because I'll say it's worse than the act itself, right? Hiru avera, kasha min avera in some sense. But yeah, so what would be bad about having hiru avera in a dream, I guess?
It could just inspire negative reality.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna ask Ariel first. Yeah, Ariel, what did you say?
No, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Joe.
It can inspire you to act negatively.
Does that actually happen, or are we just like...
It's definitely possible.
Possible or plausible? Like, in other words, I guess what I'm saying is, does that ring true with our experience? Like, do you have dreams about doing averos that actually lead you to do averos?
I feel like it could be the other way
What
around.
kind of verse are we talking about?
He doesn't say, he just says hiru avera, so I'm assuming it's anything that would be against halacha.
Because the only reason why I asked is because there's a principle that if a Jew thinks about doing a vera while he's awake, it's clause that he didn't do it, but with the guy it's
Right.
that he did do it.
Right.
So I just don't. It's like it's to me, I would assume it's like sexual thoughts in your dreams. I don't know if I have a dream about stealing someone's money.
Yeah.
It's just way far more removed than
Right. Hiru avera I also associate with like something that has to do with the sexual, but he doesn't say that. And the fact that he says hiru avera as opposed to like hiru arayos or something, I don't know. Like, sounds like it's more broad than that. There is a support for what you're saying, Ariel, in the next phrase, by the way. But
it's also like any like passionate like not just sexual, like even like kind of like vicious.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah. So harmful instinctual outlets.
Not like a thought out, like methodical.
I think hiru avera, like avera is sometimes, from what I've seen, is sometimes used specifically for arayos type things.
Right. That definitely could be. Yeah. I'm not dismissing that possibility. I'm just trying to be conservative in my interpretation. I think, Joe, there's a way you can salvage what you were saying, though. If you just moderate what you're saying, not that it's actually going to inspire you to do bad stuff, but how could it affect your your waking life? How could a hirhur avera, I guess, affect your waking life?
I mean,
in a sleep. I mean,
it could definitely affect your waking thoughts. Like you're thinking about that dream that.
That's also true, right? So that's a very tangible or very concrete way in which it would affect you. Is if you had a dream about a pleasure that was usur, then that could lead to hirhur bayom of thinking about that and like reliving it. You know, what I was thinking is that that when you so we're in a constant battle of defining what is the good with a capital T and a capital G, right? Like that's what our life is about. Like, what is the good? Is it, is it pursuit of knowledge? Is it animalistic pleasure? And it's a constant battle. And whenever you reinforce the notion that pleasure is the good, or kavod is the good, or like money is the good, I'm getting a toll-free call, whatever. Then that pulls the tug of war rope in that direction. So I think what can happen is if you have a dream about engaging in any sort of illicit pleasure, then that could reinforce like the feeling that pleasure and fantasy are the good. And that general mentality can affect you in the day. I'm basically taking what you're saying and just going one step further. I don't know if that's good or bad going one step further, but you're saying you're going to continue to think about the pleasure during the day, and I'm saying, well, why is that bad? Because it's reinforcing this notion that like a life of pleasure is the good, you know.
Also, it's possible that I know this concept that a person, let's say, has thoughts of arayos, something like that during the day, and then as a result of that, or I guess hard to directly prove it, but and then he ends up having a nocturnal emission. Right. He's chayav because he thought about that while he was awake, which caused it. Right.
So that's an interesting thing in the context of these other ihiratones, because like if you look at the Gemara's like most expanded ihiratones, so I think maybe we said this yesterday. What's weird about the things that we're asking for in the ihiratones? I'll just read it again for people who weren't here yesterday. So it says, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I mean, that's a nice thing. V'targileni lidei mitzvah, v'targileni lidei avera, v'tivieni lidei chet, v'lo lidei avon, v'lo lidei nisayim, v'lo lidei bizayim, v'yishla b'yitzer tov, v'al yishla b'yitzer hara, v'tatzileni mi pegara, u'mechalayim rayim, v'yivahu nichol. Yeah. So, like, what's weird about asking for those things in this context? Yeah, they don't have to do with sleep. What do they have to do with though?
Being awake.
Right. So specifically, when are you asking Hashem for these things to be fulfilled?
Right before you go to sleep.
Sorry, I mean, when do you want the fulfillment to occur?
When you wake up.
When you wake up the next day. So they're really asking about the upcoming day, right? So from that framework, I think what you said might make sense. That if you have that, in other words, there's two ways. I guess let's put it this way. There's two ways to say, don't let me be plagued by hirhurim rayim. One is I'm asking for something pertinent to my sleep that I'm about to have. And that's harmful to have hirhurim rayim because of the reasons we said. Or this is part of the previous block of requests of if I have hirhurim rayim at night, then, well, I guess your interpretation also could be at night. Yeah, that's true. I guess I was thinking because you said if you have these thoughts during the day, then it could lead to stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it could bridge.
Right, but even if you have these thoughts during the day, it's only going to come into negative fruition.
Yeah.
If you have that bad dream. It's
right.
Not guaranteed.
That's true. Yeah.
So you don't want to have the.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it does apply to both then. Stuff that will happen at night and stuff that will happen like during the next day. Okay, let's finish it up for our first read through. V'tihei mitasi shleima l'fenecha. Pirush im eshamish mitasi. So meaning to say, if I have sexual intercourse, yihi havlad hahove shalem ba'avodasecha. Then may the offspring that results from this be perfected in your avoda. V'lo yetze mimeni shum zera pasol, and let not any invalid offspring come from me. Kamosh Amru Razal, like Chazal say in Sifrei Devarim, B'Yakov, Shaisa Mitaso Shlema. By Yaakov, it says that his bed was complete. Shalom Nimsa Psul Bazaro. There was no invalid specimen in his offspring. About Avram Yitzchak Nimsa Psul Bazaram. But Avram and Yitzchak did have, bad seed, so to speak. Yeah. So I was going to say that goes in line with the people with you guys who said Hihur Avera might refer to the sexual, because Tia Mitasi Shlema Lefenecha is talking like literally about the sexual, Yeah. So what's weird about inserting this phrase here?
We're saying this before we go to sleep. not before we have intercourse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So now there's a practical reason for that, which is that it seems from here that, I mean, there's a question. I guess I have not looked into the halachos about this. Like, when do you say it at night if you're planning to have intercourse? You know. So this would sound like you would say it before you go to sleep. Sorry, before you you're in bed, and that's what we said yesterday. That the way the Gemara phrases it, hanichnas lishon al mitaso, means when you first get into bed, not right before you fall asleep. You know. So, yeah. What I found interesting about this is first of all, I mean, it's everything we've said up until now is like true for all people. But this is something that like is a particular circumstance that a person might have upon going to sleep. Right. You know, so it's not a problem. It's just interesting that they put this in here. You know. So that's another question why.
Right, like why not have a separate tefilah for?
Right, exactly.
Or even like the great brackets.
Yes, right. If this applies. Yeah, Ariel, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, so just a question on a thing you said like a minute ago.
Yeah.
So one of the things about having shechla zara in your sleep or in general or whatever is because you might waste the seed that would do a great avodah.
Right. That's a good point. So I mean, you're saying maybe that's being set up as like a contrast to the Ti Mitasi Shlema.
Well, my question was really more, well, what if you could be wasting in Russia?
What? Say it again? What if?
You don't know.
I just missed what you said. Say it one more time. What if you what?
I'm sorry. What if you could be wasting in Russia? I mean, like, you don't know who you're wasting. You know, just like you don't know who's going to be born. Like, it sounds like, okay, you might be wasting a voda and in Russia will be born, but why not the other way around? Like, why is it only taking one side?
Well, I mean, aren't we kind of I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. We are saying that we want God to make sure that our offspring are not a Russia or not puzzle.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I missed something, but I thought we were saying that if the shechla zara, that zara that filled out would have been a great yid.
No, I don't think we're saying that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So,
yeah.
What were they saying?
Joe was just saying that is a concern that having Hirura Vera might lead to, not because of the offspring that would have resulted. Right, Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have an idea regarding like the dreams. Like maybe it might be talking about lucid dreaming because you're actually like in control of that.
Yeah, I mean, would certainly be a bad type of hero where you're actually like controlling it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when you can actually do an avera. It's kind of like in real life, but you're dreaming.
Yeah.
So with lucid dreaming, you're more in control.
Right.
So
yeah. That definitely would amplify all of the harms we talked about. I doubt this is talking about that because lucid dreaming is not so common, and I don't think they would like overtly reference something that only a minority of the population experiences. But yeah, it's definitely a true point though that you're saying. Okay, so let's finish it up now. V'ha'ira einai pein ishan hamaves, and illuminate my eyes lest I sleep death. And we noted yesterday that that's how the Gemara concludes right before the Chasima, and that is how. Sorry, is that how the that's how the Gemara concludes, and that's how the Rambam concludes. The art scroll, sorry, not art scroll, the Ashkenaz puts in Ki'ata Hamir L'Ishon Bas Ayin, and we theorize that maybe that's to make it more in line with the theme of the Chasima. So you see here that the Abudirham has the same as the Gemara and the Rambam. It says, "Klomar shetaksibi nishmasi v'lotei shinasi shenas olam," and illuminate my eyes lest I sleep the sleep of death. In other words, return my neshama to me, and do not let my sleep be the sleep, eternal sleep, or forever sleep, as Yoda says. So that's talking about literal death, right? Before we talked about or he brought in the mashal of like sleep as being like death. This is actually saying like, let me not die in my sleep. Okay. And we said yesterday that the Ashkenaz and the Gemara say bichvodo, but Rambam does not say bichvodo. So we said that the Rambam makes it sound like God is illuminating the world literally, but then we didn't know what bichvodo meant here. So let's see what he says. He says it's Shema Amidam Mimitasim Laor Hayom Lalechas El Iskehen, that God causes them to arise from their beds into the light of day to go about their activities. Yeah.
Like the sunlight.
Sunlight, right. So this is not talking about illuminating the pupil of the eye, right? Like, which is what the Ashkenaz says, right? Kiata hamir leishon bas ayin. Whatever we say the pupil of the eye is, I guess if you say it's literal sight, then maybe you could say it's like that. But it is literally talking about God illuminating the world so that we can like take care of our needs. Okay. So just to recap here before we end. So if you look at the berachah according to the Abudirham, so let's just go through what are the themes he mentions here. So theme number 1 is what? Of the hamapil chavlishin alayinai usnuma alpha pi.
The spasms.
Right, either the spasms or the portions. And what did he say? What concept did he introduce here in terms of like the theme of the bracha that we started off on?
Sleep is good.
It's good and it's a human need, right? So we start off the bracha talking about how there's a need for sleep and it's a good because it rejuvenates us for Torah. Then we move into the hiratzon, and he says for neshama and guf. So how would you characterize that theme?
Preservation.
Preservation, right? In what sense?
And obviously in the sense of like, I guess our neshama, our guf, like all aspects that God like preserves us. I guess.
So neshama, he says that God allows us to wake up.
Right.
And then guf is we don't get harmed while we sleep. Right, yeah. So that's still talking about the experience of sleep. Then we go into, he doesn't have any of the expanded hiratzons. He's more like the Rambam. Then let me not have hirhure avera and chalamos raos. We didn't even talk about chalamos ra'im, by the way. What would be bad about chalamos? Why would we not want chalamos ra'im?
They're scary.
Yeah, I think it's an unpleasant experience, and it could disturb your sleep and diminish the benefits that we get from it in terms of like let's say you wake up, so it makes you not get a good sleep, or let's say the psychological rejuvenation. If you wake up from a nightmare and then you go about your day, you're never in the best state, you know. So that's also about going to sleep. And then tia mitasi shlema is your offspring if you have tashmi shamita. Ha'ira ein pin shamamaz is asking not to die. And then Me'ir Olam Kulo Bichvodo is illuminating the world so that you can go about your needs. So our challenge next time is going to be to explain that progression and then come up with a unified understanding of what this bracha is really about. Because you see that at the end, he starts off with sleep as Tzarchei B'nei Adam, but by the end, I mean, the bracha encompasses a lot more stuff. It's very jam-packed bracha, you know? And we also have to explain what we said yesterday. How can Rav Amram go and add this Yihiratzon in the middle? So, yeah. All right, that'll be the challenge for next time.
Yeah. Cool.
All righty. You're welcome.
Okay.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.